This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved.
See book now.
I know exactly where mine is, but it's not with me.
I'm actually looking for them all, and I'm like, I can't. They must be upstairs somewhere. Really annoying.
It's with your other collection.
Yeah, underneath your mattress.
The spare room.
Do you want to? It would be absolutely fantastic if Medivac was pulling out books from the shelf and something jumped out at him. Oh, Mr. Pickles has fallen to sleep.
Oh, wake up, Mr. Pickles.
That's normally me.
Oh, I've just.
What's that kiddie show? Wake up, Jeff. What's that? Is that the Wiggles?
I have no idea. I don't watch kiddie
Yeah,
shows.
I don't watch kids shows either.
Yeah.
I just peaked my.
I do when I'm
mic for some
grooming.
reason. Okay then. Hello, and let me turn off sound effects.
Turn off sound effects.
Yeah. Hello everyone, and welcome to Thursday night's RPG session, which is 1980 Secret Agents on an Arctic ice floe at the present moment in time, which is super exciting. We are doing the module called White Death. And to start off with, before I give you a brief synopsis, and just to let you know, players, I'm going to go through the synopsis in a little bit more detail so you can remember what's in each of the runes, because we didn't play last week, so just to sort of like, but I might throw out random questions, to be warned. Yeah.
Pop quiz.
Before we go any further, I'll allow the players an opportunity to tell you who they are and who they will be playing.
Hi guys, I am Chugaga. My character is called Faraday. Oh, Grayson Faraday. I forgot his first name then. I was going to call him Larry for some unknown reason. Grayson Faraday. He is the people's person. He's also been given team lead on this. Fluent in a couple of languages. One being Russian, the other one being German. Pretty old to be a field agent. It's probably going to be his last mission, to be honest with you. He's done his time. And he's about ready to retire and go and farm some chickpeas in his family's ranch in Montana. And I will pass on, because he's already with his mic off, to Medivac.
Sorry, I had to find the unmute button. Hello, everybody. I'm Medivac. I play Caroline Matheson. She's a late 20s lady. She's quite tall for a lady as well. She's just shy of 6 foot. She's American, and she's also a very good biochemist. She's following her father's footsteps, and she's joined the agency. And she's now progressing through the agency very, very well. A lot of people are jealous about this because she thinks she's getting special treatment, from her father. But no, she's doing it on her own. She's going gung ho for this one. She knows how to use a gun. She doesn't like using it, to be quite honest, but she does know how to use it. And you'll see sometimes in her eyes a very haunted look every now and again. From she just looks like there's a shadow hanging over her. You can tell sometimes. She has long brown hair. She feels at home in a lab coat, is all I'm going to say. And with that, I shall pass it on to Mr. Pickles.
I am Mr. Pickles, and I play Tar, which is our group's hard-bitten, muscle-bound parachute division individual. He's very tough. He's very quiet. But that's because he's an efficient killer, known for his exemplary undercover work, skill with demolitions, and fighting off polar bears is a thing he gets to add now, with the help of his friends. He's not as interested in the finer aspects of operations that don't revolve around his specific areas of expertise, sneaking around, killing, setting up explosives, and tricking people. The undercover work, I presume, included a lot of his trickiness. But when it comes to things like research and looking at data and analyzing things, Tar leaves that brain work to the others. And I'll pass it on to Longshanks EPG.
Thanks very much, Mr. Pickles. Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG, and I'm playing a character called Desmond Flint. Not his real name, but his assumed name since joining the agency. Before joining the agency, he spent time in the US Marine Corps, where he saw active duty in fighting against Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, which is where he learned to soldier and fight. More recently, he's been recruited into the agency, where he very quickly realized the way forward was in technology and computers, and he soon set about becoming a whiz in both. And I'll pass this on to Inwils because he's now faffing around with his headphones.
Yeah.
Yes, being a biochemist, I can change back DNA to a giraffe.
Either that, or she can tuck her boobs into a waistband.
He's not tucked back into the little thing.
Thank you. Sorry, I was muted. I was just telling them what rubbish players they were. So yeah, they could hear you, but not me. That's all right.
That means all our comments are complete.
That could make for a really fantastic adventure.
It could do.
Yeah.
Tar's done that awful thing that I don't like when people do with the tie. You see the short bit, they haven't tucked it in to the bit behind, because you shouldn't technically see that bit.
I always used to tuck it into my shirt, so then it would never come undone.
Oh, I took it into the little purpose-built little thing that's behind the tie. And then I suddenly realised that Flint is
just ignore the metal arm.
It is some kind of android. He's got a cyber arm.
Going back to the tie.
Do the ones I already have on my PC, because I thought that would be easier than trying to find what's coming out.
I was trying to figure out how you fold your arms, because I don't think you fold your arms by putting one round the top. Don't you tuck one under and leave one up? Mr. Pickles is trying it.
I was told you're supposed to do this in like martial arts, because you have your hand free.
But
so if you have one on the outside, you can just fling it out and slap somebody quickly.
Oh, I would never.
Get away!
And the only other thing that I was thinking is, I have no idea. I worry what Faraday actually has in his hands, but it also looks like he's doing some kind of shadow puppet. It looks like he goes like yeah. Okay then. So let's, without further ado, let me move you on to the map. The wonderful.
I don't remember any of this.
Let me just. Right, so just to let people know, why are you all greyed out?
We're not greyed out on ours.
It's very cold.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Oh, I see what's happened. So, the party has arrived, and basically, what they have to do, they parachuted in. Most of the agents did a good parachute. Some did a little bumpy landing, which was a little bit.
I think all the males managed it. It was only the male.
Yeah, and anyway, they approached the research station. The research station is on an Arctic ice floe that has detached itself from the main chunk of ice and is slowly melting as it gets down to warm water. The research station was owned by the Russians, and the party have been parachuted in to find out what was going on there and to gain sort of like reconnaissance and information, and then they're going to be picked up by something called Skyhook within 48 hours. And Skyhook is a harness that they wear, and the plane passes over with a hook lying down that hooks onto their harnesses and sort of like whips them off the ice. So the first thing that they noticed was that there was no power in the research station at all. If you're watching the stream, the players cannot see the names on the buildings, as you can see. The first one they did is that they came over to this bunker, this building, which they figured out was some kind of research. There's a sealable lab in there. Flint hacked into the computer and got some information. They also found some journal articles in there, and Matheson, who's the sort of like the science officer, actually found that there was something to do with pathogens, and there was some kind of research going on there, but what it was they didn't know. They then came and while they were in there, they then decided to get the power generator that is working behind the research operable, so that actually lit up the research station and started to give them some warmth. After that, they came over to this building over here, which were some kind of latrines, some kind of area where there was a dead body, I think, that was frozen solid in there that Matheson found. In the hand of that frozen officer, they found the missing pathogen, sort of like container, like a little blood tube from the research station. They then came into this place where there was some kind of barracks that was all disjointed, moved around. It looked like there had been quite a lot of movement around in there, and including some about 20 or so 9mm shells off the back wall. There was some shredded parka, like a coat, and the gun locker had been opened and the hinges torn off. They then, at that point, there was two people out on guard, and they got attacked by what seemed to be a rabid, madness-driven Russian who took some pot shots at Matheson and Tar. Luckily, he was taken out, but was unconscious and has been unconscious ever since. He's been tied up and moved around the place, but he seems to be unconscious. He was carrying a pistol in one hand and an ice pick in the other, and he was very, very evil, shall we say. They then went into the next room down, which turned out this room down here, which ended up that finished, well, you could see that it was some kind of mess hall. There was some stoves overturned. There seemed to be some kind of blood splatter behind one of the stoves, and there was sort of like two huge scrape marks in the barracks, as if it's been ripped through and sort of like moved into. The final room that they came down to was this one, and the mess in the supply station they just sort of like quickly checked out and not really explored to any great deal. There was some like plastic barrels that had lids on in there, and various cages, it seemed. This purple square here, the party know that there's a generator there, but they haven't been to it at all. And then they headed back to the research station this time, and they started to do various items. This guy here is the Russian that they got. They managed to see that there were some drill sites to the south, and they sort of like had seen it as they came in on the plane, and they thought they knew roughly where it was, and they sort of like set off on foot, all tied together in the general direction. But unfortunately, whoever was in charge of navigation didn't quite navigate correctly, and before long they figured that they were going to be out there too long, so they headed back to the station. The only other thing that I need to say is that before they went, this yellow square here was a satellite and 3 snowmobiles. The 3 snowmobiles are still there. The satellite dish is not. I think, was it Tar who heard something out there?
Yeah, it was Tar.
Yeah.
Just before
Tar saw something, some kind of... how was it described to you, Tar?
They're figures that were a couple meters tall, and they weren't wearing any weather protection out in this blizzard snow, everything going around. And they looked somewhat reptilian, I believe.
And I think...
reptilian.
And I think it was roughly at that moment that you got side-sniped by a polar bear. That I was so impressed with, that Tar actually fought off the polar bear all by himself. There was no... He even managed to get a gun underneath it and push it off, a bit of grapple, and it got shot. So that's where we'll pick up the adventure for today. We will assume that you've come back to the station, and because you like the room so much, we'll say that you are all in the research station. Oh, the only other thing that I had to mention was that you had intercepted a transmission from a Russian icebreaker ship that seemed to be ploughing through the ice on course for the research station. Okay, so we'll start off. You're all in there. You're sort of like warming up via the kerosene lamp. And yeah, take it away.
So how long have we been on the ice for now?
Hang on. I will get my little tally mark out.
I think it's about 10 hours-ish.
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's 9.5, but we'll say 10, and then that's absolute. That makes it a nice even figure.
Okay, so Faraday's going to be stood in front of the heater with his back to it, and he'll unbutton his coat, and he'll take out one of his cigars and his Zippo, and he'll light it and take a big drag on it before blowing the smoke into the room. And he'll look at each person in turn, and he'll say, "We need some answers."
Yeah. Well, it looks like you got a bit of information that the agency would be wanting. Couldn't find any of the hats there. So what more is there to do, Faraday?
I totally agree. I think we should be hunkering down here. We've been shut out once. We should be hunkering down. We've got this guy here. Maybe we can take him back with us, and just stay alive for the next 34 hours or so.
But we know that the other Russians are coming. They're going to sanitize this place. They're not going to use nice language to do that.
Well, I'm hoping that they're going to the place where this place used to be, because remember, we're floating away every hour. We float further away.
Yeah, I mean, it is a drift station. I don't think we can just sit on our laurels and hope that we get rescued. There's still too much information out there to find. What's happened to the Russians on here? We know that they haven't been taken off the station. We've already seen 2 of them. Why that vial? Why that particular vial? Out of all the vials that were in there, why did that one person grab that one vial?
I guess we'll never know, because there are no notes in there. I've searched the place thoroughly, and I didn't come across anything pertaining to this particular vial. Maybe it's a random one he's taken just to keep his mission going. It seems strange that why just take one? Why not take them all? I agree with you, but
And if you're going to take one, why not grab one from the end, and not risk knocking all the other ones over?
no, you couldn't knock them over when they're in situ. Otherwise, there'd be a lot more lab accidents that way. No, I personally think he's just grabbed one and ran, because he would have had whatever's gone on here. He must have been in a hurry. And did you see the state of him? His neck was broken. It takes a lot of force to do what happened there. Is blood everywhere.
Is that what killed him? No.
Well, it's definitely one of the things that killed him. I couldn't see anything else on there. His neck was twisted right round with amazing force.
Do we know if the vial contained the vaccine or the actual virus itself? Because if it was the vaccine, it would suggest that something else has happened.
Well, all that's written on it was a Y25. That's all it said. And these are all, unless we have some way to cross-reference these, they all say Y17, Y. They're all random numbers. This could be the final experiment, the final working source they've got. But without any documentation, I sure as hell am not sticking my finger in it.
Well, is there anything that you can do? Can you run a sample or?
Is there a centrifuge and whatnot? Sorry.
There's a complete research sort of like compartment that you've been in before. That's where the guy is, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Did we
talk about the guy?
I'm
To point over to him, and he's going to say, "And what about him? What can you tell us about him?"
Sorry, what can I tell you about him?
He seemed mad. Why was he mad?
He shot at me. I don't know. I've not had any. I wasn't talking to him. I was ducking and running.
Could you take a blood sample and analyze it and find out whether or not he was suffering from anything?
Well, I could do that.
All these things are beyond me. I thought this was why you were on the mission.
I was on the mission to get any information in this place and take it back to the agency. But I can certainly have a look at him and we can see. But somebody else is going to come in there with me, because if he wakes up and starts thrashing around, he may smash things up.
Why don't you just take the blood sample and leave him where he is, and then take the blood sample into the research lab? You don't need to move him that way.
He's in the research lab.
Can you give him something? Can you give him something so he's not going to wake up? We don't have the manpower to have two people in the lab at once. And he'll look over at Flint and Tar, and he'll say, "I've got other things for you two to do."
Ooh. Tar, there's some polar bears that need wrestling.
Your new title is Polar Bear Hefter.
Yeah.
Flint, go across to the barracks. There was a Parker on one of the beds, the one with all the blood in it. Get it, bring it back here.
Will do.
And Tar,
Yes, sir.
the storage room. We need to know what was in those barrels. And behind the curtain.
I'll do my best to check, sir.
I'm just randomly moving people. I know you're not moving now. It's just so we know where people are going. So that's the. Did you say barracks for Flint?
Barracks for Flint.
Yeah.
And when you're in the barracks, Flint, and when you're in the storage room, take a count. There seems to be 4 footlockers missing.
Roger.
And if you get a chance, check the other footlockers.
That's a new one on me.
Imagine with your Canuck accent. Words all wrong.
Okay then, so Tyle's going over to the supply depot to find out more information. Flint's going over to the barracks. What's Faraday and Matheson doing?
Okay, so Faraday, the first thing that Faraday's going to do, he's got the camcorder which he picked up from the barracks. He wants to watch that back again and see whether or not he can match any of the people that we've currently met on the base, i.e. the person with his neck snapped and the Russian.
Okay.
To anybody who is on that videotape.
Yeah. Okay then.
Okay, once he's done that, I then want to be, he's then going to put on his, get dressed up in his winter clothing again.
Yeah.
And going to go out and he's going to check the conditions of the snowmobiles. One of the things he wants to look for is one, to see whether or not they're working, and then he wants to check their fuel levels as well.
Okay. And what about?
Sorry.
What?
And
And yeah. And what about Matheson?
Well, Matheson will do what Faraday said, and she will go in there and get a blood sample. I'm assuming there's going to be like an electrophorensis.
There's a
that I can use to
there's a full research kit in here, so you can easily check the blood over. Okay then, so let's go to Flint first. So Flint's going across to the barracks.
The barracks.
Yeah, and what do you want to do once you get there?
So when he gets there, he wants to take account of the number of cots and footlockers that are in there. So we know roughly how many people are meant to be on this station.
I think there was 10.
There was 10, yeah.
I think there was, but he's just going to double check that. He's going to have a good look around, so he's going to look in all the footlockers. He's going to look at any of the other lockers that are there.
So there's 10 beds, but there's only 6 footlockers. There's 4 footlockers missing. Just roll your perception. Yeah, you sort of like look around.
He would use one of his points of luck.
Okay then, so you sort of like look around. There seems to be no sign in the barracks of any of the other footlockers at all. The contents of the footlockers seem to be very much personal items. They're sort of like reading fiction books. There might be some kind of music player, like the CD Walkman, the tape Walkmans and things like that. Various cosmetics, toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap, shower stuff. Well, there is a shower, but it's probably just a bit of soap. They seem to be very personal stuff rather than anything else. There is the Parker. That seems to be shredded quite a bit. You sort of like have a close look at it, and there seems to be some kind of slime on it. It's still quite solid because this room has had no heat. And you can see that it's on the edges of the cut, so as if something had something on, and as it sliced it, it sort of like left it on either side. You take a close look at this. There seems to be no blood on it at all, which almost like rules out that somebody was wearing it when they got attacked. I'll move on to Tar then. If you want to ask me any other questions when you come back, I can do. Tar, you're in the supply station, aren't you? So roll for me your perception roll.
Yeah, because I'm just giving it another investigation after we'd been in before, but I don't think Tar paid much attention as the others were. He's keeping things safe.
Yeah, that is true. So you can see, just as you saw before, there's what appears to be some kind of cabinet on the wall that seems to have a black, tight-fitted sheet round it. As if it's been wrapped up with something, as if it's trying to protect something. You also notice that there's various of these plastic barrels, and opening one, it's sort of like got kerosene in them. Opening another one seems to have seem to be dead rabbits. They've been shrink wrapped into plastic bags. They seem to be sealed in medical biohazard bags. They're all sealed and shrink wrapped and sealed, most definitely. And the whole so the barrel sort of like stands just a little bit higher than your waist, and the whole drum is full of these rabbits. They're sort of like it's obvious that they've been dead for quite a while, and you can see that they're almost like their rictus teeth, gums are sort of like pulled back, and you can see the prominent teeth, as if these rabbits died crying out. You also notice that they've got matted fur. That seems to be a range of liquids, but including some dark red solution that you assume is blood. You just sort of like look in. There's no smell because they're all shrink wrapped, but the actual sight of this is quite disturbing. Could you roll for me, please, your willpower check?
Could I use a point of luck?
Yeah, by all means. You sort of like have a look in, and you sort of like feel the bile of your stomach suddenly sort of like coming up through your mouth into your mouth, but you manage to sort of like gain control and sort of like swallow it and sort of like slide the lid back on. It's probably just roll an insight roll for me.
Okay, I did have a question, but this insight roll might be answering that question.
Yeah, you do suddenly remember that there was food spilt out in the mess. If you remember, it had come off the stove and it was frozen, and that could have been maybe rabbit stew. Whether or not it was, you're not too sure. Just so now that you've spent a little bit more time in here, I'll just give you the list. Remember that there's a whole range of stuff in here. As you look through, before as you walk around, you can see that it's sort of like mainly wooden shelves, and it's filled with what appears to be food. There seems to be sacks of fibrous pellets, maybe rabbit food. Remember, the cages are in here as well. There seems to be solar blankets, shovels, crampons to sort of like climb with, dynamite, nylon rope, ice axes, picks, spikes, goggles, snow masks, stick flares, flare guns, portable halogen lights. That could be and it's only when you sort of like go around a bit more, you do see that there is what appears to be a portable rotary saw, a bit like a chainsaw but a circle on the end. And then there's this black covered thing at the back. What was your question?
My question, and I'm not sure if Tar would know this, but does it look more like the rabbits in the barrel are in the line of like meal prep, like they'd hunt them or kill them and then prep them, or does it look more like they were I guess from my perspective, like the equivalent of medical rats or test rats, where you test them and then you kill them and throw them away in a medical bag.
So, what skill would you like to roll for it?
That's a tough one.
If you got no other skill, then you can roll your insight, or you can use your insight and augment it with another roll if you wish.
I think insight's the best
Okay.
that Tar could do, because he has no medical experience or cooking experience, so it'd be a guess at best.
Definitely food.
Do you want to look it?
I'm gonna save my last luck point.
Okay then. Just remember your luck will have refreshed. Yeah, you look at it. I'll just go back to something earlier that I said. They don't look like they've died humanely, and there is quite a lot of liquid on some of them and blood. They still got their fur, but it's all matted, and they're in biohazard bags. So
Rather than the fridge.
right, yeah, rather
Yeah,
than
there's the fur on it too. If you were,
yeah.
can I? How heavy are these? I'd be able to take one and carry it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it to the person who knows stuff about medical.
Okay, so do you wish to do or look at anything else in the supply room?
Yes, I would like to investigate the cabinet with the bag on it before I take the rabbit. I'm gonna take the rabbit after I'm done.
That's sensible. So you go over. Yeah, it seems to be attached to the wall, and it seems to be. It looks like it's been sealed up and then probably put back onto the wall. It seems to have two hooks on the back, two holes that it could be hooked on. Seems to have been wrapped round it, and then pierced back onto it to sit on the wall.
I guess my goal would be to rip the plastic off so I could see what's in.
Yeah. So do you have anything that you want to use, or do you want to grab something from?
I have a combat knife. Maybe if I sling my gun back and use a hand and the knife.
Okay. Yeah. So roll your combat skill for me, please.
Let's see. That would be under my parachute regiment.
Yeah.
Pow.
Yeah. So you sort of like carefully slice open. You maybe have scratched the case underneath, but you definitely haven't pierced the cage or the box underneath it. It seems to be, as you sort of like open it up, it seems to be filled with what appears to be 26 black boxes. You take a quick count, and there's definitely 26. They all seem to be marked with what appears to be like a biohazard symbol that you're quite familiar with. Do you wish to do anything else with them?
Access my memory. Was there about 26 vials in the research lab? I remember Matheson saying something about a Y25. Do I think there's more of those, maybe?
These are more boxes. Well,
yeah.
Matheson.
I'm connecting maybe that they're related somehow, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just seeing exactly. Can anybody remember how many boxes?
I thought there was 52.
Of the vials?
Yeah. Which is double the 26.
Yeah, which would be double the 26. Yeah.
Well, I'm not keen on touching something with that much protection and biohazard symbols on it. Actually, I'm going to carefully pull out one of the boxes and...
Okay, then, so roll a 1d26. Nice. Did that actually roll 26?
No,
I don't know.
A D26.
That's better.
Yeah.
Number 3. Hang on. Oh yes, yeah. Okay then. So yeah, you pull out one of the boxes.
I'm treating it like it's explosives. I'm keeping my face away from it, my hands.
So,
I'm gonna try to open it and see what's inside.
Yeah, it seems to open from the top, and inside there seems to be like a blood sample container that you sort of like lift out, and you sort of like have a look at it. It seems to be there seems to be some yellowish liquid in there, and there's a date on it that sort of like goes back, say, 3 or 4 months, well inside the research date, your station's life here. You sort of like continue to sort of like, some of these are empty. About 16 of them are actually got something in, all these different yellowy substances, and there's about 15 of them that are, the boxes are empty. They're just plain black boxes. There's nothing inside them. There's no date. All the others have various dates for the last 12 months, and they seem to be in consecutive date order, if that makes sense. From the going along the top row, they seem to be, and then there's one, the last one, that has something in and a date on, and then a gap, and there's about three weeks from the last date to this one.
Okay.
I'll leave you, and we'll come back and we'll go to Faraday. So the first thing, Faraday, you want to do, you were inside.
Yeah. So the first thing, whilst he stood in front of the heater, he wants to rewatch the footage.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah. So Roland,
he wants to see whether or not he can match any of the faces.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to roll an insight roll, because I just want to see how much you sort of like pick up. Oh, your rolls are not in for you lads tonight,
No.
Isn't it? Yeah. That's all right. You spend some time sort of like perusing over it to make it easy, and you sort of like look through it, and you quite easily notice that none of the people that you see on the video relate to the man that's with Matheson in the research. You do draw a conclusion from your insight roll, is that maybe the person who was taking the film is the person who Matheson's got in. Did you go into the latrines at all?
I presume I can't remember. I think I was at the doorway.
Right. Okay.
I don't know whether I was close enough to.
Okay, so we'll say that you recognise one of the people in the, obviously not the one that got pulled down or anything like that from the camera, is probably one of the other people on the actual film.
Is he one of the scientists?
Most definitely, yeah.
Right.
The snowmobiles, do you have an engineering role or mechanic role?
I have a couple of things. I have.
You're out by the snowmobiles now.
Yeah. So my plan is I want to use my mechanics role to first check to see whether or not they're working.
Mm.
But then I want to do a couple of other things. I want to check their fuel levels, and then I want to do stuff like check the size of the engine and the fuel tank, and see whether or not I can come up with something to say how far they've travelled. You know, maybe looking at the how much fuel's being used and the
Okay, so roll your
ratings of the engine or things like that.
Yeah, roll your, is it engineering or mechanics that you have?
Okay, so I have mechanics, I have navigation, I also have pilot and sensors.
So the first roll is just going to be what state the snowmobiles are in. So that'll be your pure mechanics. Yeah. First thing is, there is nothing wrong with these snowmobiles at all. They just look like they've been left for a significant time uncovered. And so it's just sort of like they've literally frozen up. You do, as you get closer to them and start to search around, you do notice that there's what appears to be a tarpaulin down the back of them that would actually come over them and sort of like protect them, but it doesn't seem to be on it.
Can I, when we were looking at the original, when we were back on Thull station, and we saw the satellite imagery of the drift station.
Yeah.
Did it show the snowmobiles being there?
You'll need to roll an insight to see whether or not you remember.
Yeah, critical success.
There's 3 in total. 2 of them were definitely not on the picture.
Okay.
There was only 1 there. So that's extra information that you've just got for your critical roll. And so roll piloting and augment it with mechanics.
Okay, so my mechanics is 46, so that's going to be 10, isn't it?
10.
Okay, so that's going to put my pilot skill up at 67, and I got a 26 standard out of 67.
Yeah.
I got a formidable 6.
Yeah, it was actually going to be a hard roll. You figured that one of them, the tank is full. The other 2 are roughly half empty, and you figure that's what the petrol would be to go to one of the drill sites. If you remember, you know that there's one south and one north, and there and back, obviously. Okay, let's nip inside to Matheson. What would you like to be doing, Miss Matheson?
Well, she'll extract. Full hazmat suit as normal, but she'll extract some blood. What she first wants to do is ascertain what blood group the chappie is, and to make sure he has all the right cells for that blood group. So he's galactose, fucose, and so on. And then she also wants to, before she starts doing that, she also wants to take some blood and put it into a gel electrophoresis, so she can separate the different proteins from that, so she can see exactly what's in there.
What's the purpose? So far, you've just said that you want to ascertain the blood group. So
yeah, I want to make sure that all the cells in there are correct and present. This chappie, if he's been infected by anything, something will stand out.
So is it the sense that you're looking for infection in the blood sample?
Abnormalities, yes.
Yeah. Okay, then roll your science if you have a science skill, or.
I do have my biology would be the one here, I would say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's actually O positive, and that's his blood group, and his blood seems absolutely fine. If anything, there's a slight dip in some of the white blood cells, but slightly below normal count, and iron deficiency slightly as well. But apart from that, there's no infection in the blood sample at all, and everything's coming back roughly in the normal range. It's probably at the lower end of the normal range, which probably would be understandable.
Yeah, if it's been kept out of sunlight as well, that would be on proper foods.
Anything else that Matheson would like to do?
No, she's at the moment toying with the idea of maybe bringing him round and making sure his bonds are secure, and maybe bringing him round to try and get some answers. But she doesn't want to do that while she's on her own.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. She'll go. I mean, this will take time to do anyway. So
yeah. So we'll nip back to Flint. Would Flint like to do anything?
So he's had a look at this thing. So he is before he leaves, he's going to go around. He's going to check out the generator out back first.
Okay.
See if there's anything wrong with it. He's not going to try and get it working. He just wants to see sort of like what's wrong with it. If it's just turned off, or if it's run out of fuel or that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah. So the first thing that you notice, and Faraday, you notice this as well, the blizzard has definitely stepped up a mark. Visibility is really limited now. Every now and again, as the snow wisps past it, the wind changes direction, and you have a quick glance in front of you. Looking at things close to, like the snowmobile and the generator, is fine. Looking out across the plain, you think, just to get an idea if anything was coming towards you, you think it's probably a formidable roll now to actually see it or hear it. You can't hear anything, especially if you've got your cold weather gear on. Your parkas and your little hood underneath will be keeping everything sort of like protected, because you don't want frostbite on your ears. So Flint, you come round to the back, and you don't actually need a roll or anything. This generator will definitely not work, and the reason you know it definitely not work is because its hood is open and it looks like it's been stripped. There's only some minor items left around, some screws, the odd cable, a bit of metal that you're not too sure what it is, but compared to the other one that you actually got up and working, this one, you sort of like lift the hood and just sort of like think, oh, I'm sure there should be something. The actual black cables that run into it are actually still there for about a meter, and then they literally disappear. It looks like they've been cut off.
Okay.
But this generator isn't ever going to be going.
That's fine.
Okay, let's jump down to Tar, who's got his rabbit, his dead rabbit in his hand. What would you like to do, Tar?
Before I leave, I'd like to. You said there were cages in here. Could I get a quick count of those cages?
Yeah, they're sort of like a stacking unit, and you figure them probably like 2 rows of 6 stacked up. But you can see from the state of the cages, there probably wasn't one rabbit in each of these. You know, they were probably packed in quite substantially. They're all empty now.
Okay. I would like to take the dead rabbit, of course, but I wanted to take some of the boxes. The earliest sample I can get chronologically, and the latest sample that I can get chronologically.
Yeah. Okay. Then. Yeah, you can.
Can I carry all those items?
Well, you can. You won't be able to have your gun out, but you can carry. Yes. You can tuck your dead rabbit underneath your arm and sort of like carry it like a stick. I mean, it's literally like that, and it's shrink wrapped. So you can tuck that underneath your arm and carry the other 2 boxes, and then is the idea to head back over to?
Yes, I'm heading back to the group to bring my results.
Okay then. So Faraday, what would you like to do?
Okay, so after getting the information that he's got from the snowmobiles, he's going to go back in, and he's going to look for is there sort of like a map or anything showing the locations of the drill sites or anything like that?
The only map is on the wall in the research station. If you remember,
that's a pretty big one, because it has all the
correct,
all the NATO's
correct,
the NATO bases. Can he use his information that he received from going out last time to see whether or not he can narrow down a better search pattern to see whether or not we can find whereabouts they might have travelled last time? if he knows how much fuel's being used, and if we're taking into if he takes into account that they were probably heading towards the southern drill site, can he work out a sort of like a search pattern that might allow us to find the hatch?
Right. So that would be a navigation roll.
Mm-hmm. But using the other information that we found out now, so we know the basic distance that the snowmobiles.
Yeah, you can literally put a sort of like a pin in where the research station is and draw sort of like a line round it, and that would be the distance that it would actually travel. With the thing, but if you want to try to locate the exact place,
he just wants to narrow it down. His plan is to go back out, but use the snowmobiles and see whether or not we can find it. But at the moment he's just gathering information.
Okay, so are you finished outside with the snowmobiles and heading back to the research station? The research there, yeah. So you see Tar sort of like go in before you, then you sort of like head back. So Flint, you're behind the thing. Is there anything else that you would like to do?
So Flint's finished outside, but he's going, before he goes back to the research thing, he's going to duck back into the barracks, and he wants to grab the Parker that has been shredded and has got the frozen ghoul over it.
Okay then, yeah.
He wants to have that. He wants to get that to Madison when he gets back in.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question, which I don't know whether... Do we know what the pressure ridge is? It was mentioned in the journals, and it was to the south, and it was where they were drilling.
I think a pressure ridge is when it's a bit like when two things collide together and forms a ridge, which would be hard to see over, unless you were actually going over it, if that makes sense.
So could I, when we were out walking the last time, I know we eventually got to sort of like the edge of the flow.
Yeah.
But did we see anything? I know visibility was difficult at that stage, but did we see anything that we might have assumed was a pressure ridge? And if so, can I add that into my calculations? Because I know they were somewhere nearer the pressure ridge when they were drilling.
You can add that into your calculations, just to let you know, because if you decide to go out again and try to find the same, then there'll be a navigation roll. It will be one level harder because you're attempting the same task again. There might be a modifier there for about blizzards, etc., and the site, etc., and then you'll probably have, which will be negative, but then you might have positives, say for the
other information that we got.
So it might be that it goes to standard to hard to formidable to hard to standard.
Yes, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get as much information of where it could be before we set off, just to narrow down our to get rid of some of the negatives.
Okay, so everybody's back in the research station, and we will assume at this point that everybody has talked about what they found out. So rather than just retelling all of that to people, Tar, what do you want to do with your dead rabbit? That's what I'm interested in.
I'm passing all of my research and investigation items over to Matheson, because Matheson's the one who does the brain work on stuff, and obviously I'd share the chronology. It's the earliest, it's the latest, there's more. I'd share, as you said, cage count, everything, but passing everything on to Matheson. Any idea?
Yeah, well, to be honest, Right, as soon as Matheson sees Tal walk through carrying these boxes, and this rabbit under his arm, and she sees a sign on the on the crates. She'll be like, "Tar, you fool! Get those in the compartment straight away. Close it. I'll take them out. Once I've taken them out, you go in there and you scrub yourself down. You haven't opened anything, have you?"
Well, I did open the box a little bit, but I didn't open the vials, and they were just in that storage room. If they infected me just now, you're all infected.
I'm not. I'm in here.
Well, they're all infected with me over here then.
So maybe just take a precaution and scrub yourselves down.
Okay, so is it the plan of action that everybody's going to go take their turn in the scrubbing down area and almost like decontaminate yourselves?
How big is the decon area? Is it big enough for all three of us at the same time?
No, it's only big enough for one person at a time.
You're muted, Chugs.
That's the best, Chugs.
Sorry, how long is it going to take? Are we talking?
Well, the first, this is my train of thought, is whether or not each one's doing it. Also, what exactly are you scrubbing down? Because normally what you would scrub down is the biohazard suit. That, if you remember, that they're hanging up, so you would put that on to go in and then scrub that down to come out, and then leave it in the decontamination area. So Flint, Faraday and Tar, you have your cold weather gear on.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Don't want to get that wet.
So, I mean, you don't really want to get that wet, because...
Yeah, I mean, Faraday's going to say, it's probably a bit too late for this type of precaution.
Well, that's probably true.
If we've been infected, we've been infected.
Just on a side note, I did find in this lab, there was a rolled up parchment, a rolled up tube, which had the drill sites located on it.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Just a Faraday had forgotten that by the sound of it. Right. So yeah, I will look at these items that I've been given, and I'll put them to one side. I'm not going to touch the rabbit. Is there any sort of markings on the bag that say why? Whatever?
No, it's just purely a biohazard bag that it's shrink wrapped into.
And she will go back to the test tubes, and she will count them, because she's sure there was only 32 of them, or was it 36? After hearing what Tal was saying about the amount of crates.
So you want to count the...
Yeah, the test tubes.
Okay then. So what else does Matheson want to do? Because then other people can then start reacting as well.
Yeah, she wants to have a look in the crates once she's done that as well, just to see what's in there. She won't break any seals or anything. She'll open the crate.
In the little boxes.
Yes.
That Tar brought.
That's right, just to see what he's...
Yeah, well, he would have told you what's... I mean, in each one of them, there's a sealed vial, like the one that you found in the guy's hand.
And now they're labelled?
Yeah, they have the dates on.
Nothing else but the dates?
Nothing else, just the dates.
And how about the crates? Do they have anything on them? Other than the biohazard sign?
Which crates are we talking about?
The ones with the samples inside.
The little boxes.
The little boxes that...
Oh, sorry, I thought they were... Because we were struggling.
No, they're sort of like 16 boxes, or more than 16.
He was trying to carry them carefully.
Explosives.
He also had a rifle, and he also had a rabbit.
And remember that Flint would have given you the Parker with the weird frozen goo on it and pointed the goo out as well.
So we'll concentrate on the box first. And is there anything on the outside the box? No writing or
no,
just a box of biohazard.
Yeah,
and a date. Okay.
The dates on the
actual items
on the tube. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So doing that, she'll take a sample of the goo on the coat as well, because didn't we see some goo in the canteen?
No, not that I was aware of.
Okay, right. So yes, she will take a sample of the goo and see what's going on there.
Okay then. So Matheson sort of like starts taking a sample of the goo and running an analysis on it, which is going to take some time. Faraday, Tar, and Flint, what's going to be your actions?
Faraday's going to take Tar to one side, and he's going to show him the information that he's sort of like jotted down about the distances that the snowmobiles have been, and the other information about the pressure ridge and which direction we're going in, and we're going to come up with our best way to locate the hatch.
Okay then. So Tar and Flint, what are you busy doing?
Well, I guess I'm going over with Faraday to work on the plan. Probably using my navigation skill to assist his navigation skill.
Okay, cool.
And ignoring Flint, I guess, who isn't a part of this navigation party.
Oh, poor Flint. And Flint, what would you like to do?
Well, how long we've been up for? What, 14, 15 hours now, including the flight, probably.
Yeah, maybe a little
So
bit more.
he's probably gonna be really antisocial and get a little bit of shut eye because we've been on the go in the cold for quite a while.
Okay then. So Flint sort of like lies down on the floor or something and drifts off to sleep. Faraday and Tar, you have a discussion about where would be the best place to go and where. And Matheson, just roll your biology check for me. You can safely say, despite all your medical knowledge, i.e. 80% medical knowledge, you have never ever seen a substance like this. It appears to be completely alien. It seems to have some kind of complex carbon benzene rings in it, and it seems to be readjusting itself constantly. It has some familiar chemicals in, like you think it might be carbon based, but you couldn't. If somebody said to you right now, what is it, the answer would be you have no idea. All the instruments are reading, it just comes up an unknown substance. It shows you the chemical composition to it, but even then there's some bars on the output that just have a question mark by it. There seems to be lots of it in it, but no analysis of what it is. Like I say, there's some familiar substances in there, and when you do, when it naturally heats up in the research lab, you notice that it's almost like unfreezes itself and becomes a lot more tacky, more treacle-like. It's definitely slime of some description.
Wonderful, thank you.
Faraday's going to say to Matheson.
Yeah, there's probably an intercom to communicate with them.
He's going to say, he'll go up to the intercom, press a button, and he'll say, "What size is that Parker?"
She'll look and
It's medium.
Medium. It's medium.
And which way does it button?
No, I think
Is it done for male or female?
again she'll check.
Yeah, hang on. How's this? Male.
Mm-hmm.
Question: the person in the toilet,
Was male, yeah.
did he have a jacket on or not? We
I
know that he froze to death, but did he have a jacket on?
I thought he did.
It doesn't actually say, so yeah, he can have one on. That's not a problem.
Was it done by the polar bear?
Again, I'll check to see if the claw marks were caused by, or the ripping was caused by a polar bear.
There's no real. I mean, the slime hasn't come from a polar bear.
No. I couldn't tell. It doesn't. I don't think so. This slime that's on it is something I've never seen before. It doesn't conform to our normal biology, which it's something I can't explain, because maybe the Russians are working on some kind of strange cross hybrid or something, but I've never seen this. There are things that are not showing up on even the Russians' computer, which if they're working on it, you would have thought that it would appear on there. There's question marks. There's mysteries.
Flint, you all of a sudden wake up as the biohazard alarm is sounded within the research bunker, the hab. You notice straight away, Matheson, that inside the hab there it goes like that red lighting, and you can hear there seems to be a speaker that actually sort of like going there's no posh voice saying please decontaminate, you are infected. It's just going
Matheson's heard this before. She knows the drill, so she's going to put everything down, and she's going to move as fast but as carefully as possible to the exit, to the decontamination room. And while she's moving there, she'll also say, "Do you want me to leave this man here or bring him out? But I'm coming the hell out of here."
Can you wake him up? If you can't wake him up, leave him. He's bush on. He can go with the flow.
Maths will go over and kick him and see if he stirs.
Yeah, so you just roll me an unarmed combat check. Yeah, you sort of like give him a prod with your boot. He just sort of like readjusts itself. You notice that the gap, the decontaminating area, seems to be sort of like letting off some sort of white steam, as if it's almost like cleansing itself. The alarm's still going off. It's still going.
If he's not moved, I'll be going straight to decontamination.
He moved, as in when you kicked him, he sort of like fell over. He doesn't look like
not voluntary though. He just more like unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will come out of the lab and I'll leave him there.
Okay, so you sort of like get through, and you notice that your inside door takes a little bit more of a shove to actually open it. And you do notice that when you close it behind you, there's a distinct sort of like sound as the rubber seal immediately engages and almost like seals the door into the research. The lights still buzzing away. Flint.
Faraday's going to say, "What the hell is happening?"
Something seems to have been picked up by the sensors in there that there must be a leak, or there must be some kind of foreign body in there. Is all I'm going to say.
Could it have been the Parker?
There's a very strong possibility, because what's on that Parker is something that I've not seen before. But it could be any of those things that came in here. They were put in storage for a reason.
Flint, roll your computer skill for me, please. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, so
use his point of luck to reroll. No, not reroll. Swap it. Sorry, swap it.
Yeah, so you sort of like wake up and you use the computer and you manage to turn off the constant. It's still red lit inside there.
You would have left the light on if.
Yeah, well, you can't turn it off. There seems to be no ability to turn it off. And Matheson, as you come through the second door, you hear that familiar sealing sound as it's sort of like so you sort of like you've been brushed down in your hazard suit. Tar probably takes a step back as you come out, just in case you have some kind of infection. Oops, yeah, and yeah, so you're back out into the Matheson gets changed, I presume, back into her cold weather gear.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And she'll say, as soon as that thing sort of, everything was fine until that thing seemed to warm up and become more like a gel, a goo, or more like a soapy treacle, really. And then that happened. Strange.
I think the Parker could be from one of two people.
Faraday, can you make a perception roll for me, please? Yeah, out the corner of your eye, you see the body seems to be almost like arching his back, and he seems to be going into some kind of convulsion inside the research thing. You notice that his mouth's open as if he's trying to draw in breath, but you sort of like catch it out the corner of your eye and sort of like look round, and you can see he seems to be fitting, and there seems to be some foaming of the mouth. And he, like I said, he's arching his back completely.
It bring the attention of everybody else to it. Pointing it, he'll say, "What the fuck is happening?"
Oh my God! I've only seen this maybe in Vietnamese victims. It looks like it's acetylcholinesterase inhibitors have been stopped, and he's fitting.
Yeah, he does stop. You sort of like give your spiel, Matheson, and by the time you get to the end of it, the guy seems to have one sudden twist, and then seems to go back to his unconscious prone position on the floor.
I thought he was in a coma.
I just need to stand up because my leg's going in cramp. I'm still here.
Well, it looks like a test screen.
I was going for rugby, but I ended up as Bumblebee.
You wear it for me next week.
Yeah, carry on. I can still hear you, don't worry.
Okay. We're going to go back onto the ice floor. We need to find this hatch. One thing is clear. Whatever they found on the ice was considered by the Russians to be more important than anything else that they were doing. And if it's important that they will break off researching these pathogens or whatever they were doing and go after what was, it's important to us. Was that a subscriber?
It was. I've had two this game. I had one on YouTube, so I'm 400.
Just spoiled my role playing.
473 on YouTube, and I just got an Instagram one, but it appears to be a lady with not a lot of clothes on, saying "Follow me."
Oh, send me a link.
Can you send me her now?
I'll bring it up, shall I? Oh, I just got a random message as well from.
Ooh. Don't open it! Don't open it! Don't open it!
From
Premium Snapchat.
Don't open it!
A good time.
Hi, we've been informed you've been involved in an accident.
Do you know, I love those. They say, "Hello, I've been informed that you've been in an accident that wasn't your fault," and I go, "Really?" And then they put you through to the next person. I say, "Hey, you bit," and I say, "No."
Well, I really don't. By saying, "Oh my God, how did you know?" I said, "Oh, can you tell me about it?" He says, "Well, what's my name?" And you get to the whole rigmarole of, well, you told me I've been in an accident. What was it? What happened to me? Please tell me.
Help! Okay, so
All over.
I'm just looking at the time, so it'll be a good idea to break soon for the 10-minute break. So the only place that you have that nobody's searched so far is this building here. That was the one, the mess
that's the one we
that
went into and then came straight back out, didn't
yeah, and that had the stove in it, and so that's the only place that you haven't looked in. Do you want to explore that before you set out to try to find
We got a fair bit of information from there, didn't we? Though we knew that they had positioned a barricade so that they could
correct
engage things that were probably coming through the door.
Yeah.
We knew that there was a whole load of blood behind one of the stoves. And
Yeah.
we knew that also that it looked like something had happened at the back of it, because there was the 4-inch diameter, perfectly round.
Yeah.
Perfectly round holes in it.
Yeah, that is correct. That is absolutely correct.
But from the other things that we could see, Faraday wants to touch on some of the information that Flint had given, and the other footlockers. We basically know now that the entire place, there's 4 footlockers missing.
Correct.
We haven't seen it. Is there a facility to attach footlockers onto the back of the snowmobiles?
No.
Okay. And the other footlockers that we found in the barracks, were they all full? Or, were all 6 of them? Did it look... Does it look like this place was inhabited by 10 people?
Yes.
But my question to just add to that is, the footlockers, were they taken randomly, or was it the first 4 footlockers?
You couldn't tell.
I think it was strewn over
Yeah,
the
it was strewn all
floor.
over the place.
Right, sorry, right.
Because we know that as far as the scientists go, we know that at the time of stuff happening, there was 5 on the base.
Yeah.
There was the mission leader, Tanya Kerbuk. There was Xenia Sapanova, but she got taken off 4 months ago. There was then Kadykov. Then there was Petrushkin, but we don't know whether or not he survived, because he was the one that originally opened the hatch. Then there was Zilin, then there was Gorov. So we know that there was 5 of them. But if Petrushkin, we don't know whether or not Petrushkin survived. He may or he may not have done. I'm edging my bets that the Parker was either being worn by Petrushkin or the person that was operating the camera, because he got as he was running away. But maybe they brought him back.
What do you mean got?
The camera
Yeah.
showed him getting dragged.
No, I wasn't told that.
Yes, you were. We had already agreed that all information from any of the sources that we were found was going.
Oh, right, okay. Because last time you said you said nothing about that when I asked. Right.
It's also fair to mention that we're not missing just 4 footlockers. We're missing 4 footlockers and an entire satellite.
That's true.
Correct.
That's very true.
And the entire contents of a generator, apart from a few nuts and bolts.
Correct. And so footlockers, nearly a whole generator and a whole satellite dish.
And lots of wire.
And half the crew.
Yes, lots of power cables.
Flint would turn, before they go, turn to Tar and say, in the storeroom, was there any gas masks? I can't remember if you saw any or not, or if you said you saw any.
There were snow masks, but no gas masks.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were flare guns, solar blankets, which probably be not very useful in this blizzard condition. Dynamite, nylon rope, ice axes, spikes, goggles, snow masks, stick flares, flare guns, and those portable lights and a rotary saw.
Okay.
Well, before we leave this,
Back out onto the floor. We're going to find this hatch. We're going to find out what the Russians thought was so important there, and then we're going to take it back.
well,
We're going to give America the edge.
before we leave this place, I want to barricade this this decompression chamber, just in case our friend in there decides to become more mobile again and try and get out.
You look. What was that?
Wasn't
You looked
me.
at it to me.
That was probably Mayvac's other half yawning. It was quite loud. Yawn.
Engaged in the adventure.
Clearly, she's not.
Tar, what's the range on your explosives in this place?
Inwils, what's the range of my explosives in this place?
I'm not, as in,
The remote detonation, I guess.
How far away from the thing when we can still blow it up?
probably about it's not, it's going to be like, especially with the weather conditions at the moment, maybe 100, 200 meters.
Okay.
Because
Right,
they're
so
already
it's not
planted
huge.
round about, aren't they?
Okay, so after the break, we're going to be heading out onto the heading back out onto the flow.
Okay, so before we break, there's 2 snowmobiles. So it's going to be 2 people
We're going to
piloting.
double up. Before we go, he'll say, "Who can pilot a snowmobile?"
So Faraday has a drive. Well, you all can because
We
you
can't
have
drive, but
you have driving skills.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very experienced in driving, not snowmobiles, but vehicles in general. I think that'll work.
Okay. Is there anybody else who's experienced?
I'm all right.
I'm average.
I'm above average.
So
Okay.
So who's going with whom, and who's driving?
I'm going with Tar driving, and he's going to be doing the main navigation. I'm going to be assisting him in his navigation, so I'm going to be grabbing him securely around his waist and yelling in his ear when I see things that I should be. So we're going to be taking the first snowmobile.
Okay, then, and
we're going to be trying to locate the thing that we're going after.
and who's taking the who's driving the second snowmobile?
I won't be, but I will be assisting by, again, the same as what Faraday's doing, holding on tight and pointing out obstacles in front with driving.
Okay, then. So Fleet will be driving that. So just before
Link,
we go,
as far as possible, is just going to be following Faraday.
yeah, you don't worry. You're not going to get lost. It's whether or not you hit anything. So Tar, we'll just roll the pilot skills and then we'll just finish there for the break. Tar, can you? Is this being augmented by Faraday's pilot and drive skill as well?
My pilot skill is 57, so it's going to be 12.
12. So Tar, you can add 12. Matheson, what's your drive skill?
My drive skill is 64, so you can put 13 on that.
Yeah.
So what's yours?
Mine was 54.
Oh, really? Sorry, I thought you were higher than me.
No, I said average.
Yeah,
You
that's
said above average.
You said
Never mind. It's too late now.
So 54.
Well, I'm not being funny, but you wouldn't let
Your woman drive, yeah.
anyway.
Okay, then. So I'm still waiting. Tar's drive skill.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So we'll come back for the navigation roll at the moment. You set off south once more, and you head off to try to find the southern drill target. So we'll take a quick 10-minute break. So we'll be back in 10 minutes 42. 2042 we'll be back in. So that gives everyone. So yeah, don't go away. We'll be back soon. Be right back.
You own them.
Right. We are now
Given
going.
to you.
We are going back. Here we are. We are live now.
Is Big Beastie still in chat? Hi, Big.
Yeah. Well,
Is he? Hey,
yeah.
Big.
He
Hi,
said,
Big.
"I've
Hey,
missed you,
Big.
sexy."
We thought you'd gone to
That's you and
Chester.
us.
No. Sorry, I've missed you, sexy lot. Sorry.
Oh, right. So it's all of us.
Oh,
And
wow.
Darth was there. He said the
Darth.
computer says no. Life in Pain told me that my
Hey,
Microsoft. Sassy Sasquatch was there as well.
Hi, Sassy. How's school?
I can tell you that. Had 2 hours of coding, so kind of boring.
Oh.
I asked which language he was using, but he's using Python.
Oh, well, somebody's got to.
Yeah.
Someone's got to learn something about that, yeah.
Not see.
Big Beastie says hi.
Hi.
Hi, Big.
You got your computer sorted yet?
I'll have to wait. There's a delay.
There's a delay. Right. Anyway, so
Okay then. So
we're going to full weather clothing. We're going to start up these snowmobiles and
set off. And did we
Tar and Faraday.
did we do the hard driving test or not?
We did
No,
the driving
we didn't.
test.
Go to driving tests.
We did the driving test, and
Did
we
you all
did
pass
the-
a hard?
Tar failed the hard. Failed the hard.
Oh yes, I can see it now. Sorry, I was scrolled up.
But we did the navigation, and Tar got a
No, you did not do the navigation. And Big Beastie says no, not yet.
Okay.
I don't know if that's to do with the drive rolls or computer.
Computer.
Okay then, so
Drive rolls.
Lance Corporal Tar, it's time for the infamous navigation roll. Can I just say at this point, will you please not fumble it? You know, I can't do anything with a fumble. I really cannot. Anything else, I can.
You're adding 10 on from me.
I am allowed to add in him for augmenting my navigation, correct, Inwils?
Yes, you can do.
Whew, well, that puts it up a little bit. Everybody ready? It's gone.
Oh yes, a Viz.
No, yeah. Wait, what? Are you gonna look it and swap on over?
It's formidable.
Meta gaming.
Then because you don't know what you need. There's all these.
No,
There's all these other negatives that's going on.
it's formidable as well at the moment, isn't it?
No, it's.
No, don't tell him.
He succeeded as a hard. That he hasn't succeeded as a formidable. He would need to change it. But if it was a Herculean, there is no chance.
I'm going to leave it because I only have one luck point. I'm not Bartleby.
All right, end of the adventure, guys. Thanks
Yeah,
very
so
much.
you drive around for 2 hours and
Don't
die
find it,
off.
but you still have your luck point, don't you?
It's all right. We found a McDonald's.
You die of frostbite, and that's where we'll end the.
Hooray!
Yeah. So sorry, my microphone is peaking out.
Just on a side note, we would die quicker on these bikes when we're all walking because your temperature will drop faster.
Cool.
I mean, if we know we're going to die, we have guns.
Yeah, you can always shoot somebody. You can
We'll shoot the girl and
shoot
start ourselves.
Matheson and then use her as a, like Luke,
Tom-tom.
like a Tom.
Oh, she's not bad on the outside.
And this sort of like everybody can sort of like crawl in, a bit like one of those duvet covers.
The neck.
Hang on, we've got a bear. We can use a bear to live in.
Yeah, that would work as well. Cool. Okay then. So
So you're not swapping. You're not using a point of luck to swap them.
he's not no. You sort of like head off. You do have a couple of crashes while you're out and about because you needed hard drive skills, which you failed. But that was to ensure that you don't crash or tip anything over or hit a solid piece of ice with the front ski or anything like that. So just if you could just make a note of the following for me. Tar and Faraday, can somebody just write 5 down? And Matheson and Flint can use write 1 down, as in the digits. Okay, so you set off into the sort of like the drill sites and to try to ascertain where this drill site actually is. You do come across what you talk about as a pressure ridge. And does anybody have any skills to do with geology or science or anything that might be able to give you a roll to see whether or not you can tell what's caused this ridge?
No, unless it was caused through conflict, because I have law.
No.
I did my research, biology and chemistry. I mean, research, it's a stretch. So I don't think she would be biology one bit.
The only one I've got is mechanics, but I don't think that would be.
No. Tarkin's a shoot guns. He has got.
He's got demolitions, hasn't he? So
I have survival, urban.
I've got survival urban.
I've got survival.
Yeah, there are houses here, so it might work.
I don't think it's gonna.
Streetwise.
You don't learn this type of things just by being out in the
Okay
coast.
then. One thing I will give then, I'll give one person, one character, an insight roll. It's completely up to you who takes it, but you're not allowed to ask about insight rolls. So who's good? Okay then, go for it, Fado.
I got a standard.
Right.
78.
Okay then. You sort of like go over the pressure, the ice, the pressure peak, and down the other side, and you actually do notice that it's almost like curved in shape, and it looks very familiar, as if something had.
Like a crater.
Well, there's only one edge. It almost like looks as if something's come down and hit and almost like skidded in the ice. And as it's gone along, it's piled up this pressure ridge. Does that make sense? You look, you can't see very far in the snow, but it looks quite big. Well, actually, it looks massive. It nearly covers the majority of the ice floe as far as you can see. There seems to be nothing on the other side, but you do notice that there's thick snow and ice on the opposite side, so obviously something's been building up over time. And it's you actually drive around and trying to gain the location, and it's probably out of a bit of luck that you suddenly notice that there appears to be like a circular shaft coming up out of the ice. You don't necessarily navigate to it exactly, but with a bit of luck, you nearly crash your snowmobiles into it. Whoever's going there, you see it in time. You get off your snowmobiles and sort of like have a look. It's definitely metallic. It's definitely been out here a long time. You can see the snow has piled up on it. There seems to be it seems to be quite wide. It's almost like a meter and a half wide in diameter, and there seems to be some kind of ladder attached to one side of it that goes down.
The outside of it.
No, on the inside, and you can see out of arm's reach. You can see there's a opening hatch. You sort of like, it seems to have one of those circles on, that you undo it as if you're going into a submarine, and whatever it is, it's been here a long time. There's no tracks or anything around. You figure anything that might have been here will have disappeared ages ago.
What's the snow and ice like round it? Has it started to melt, or is it just as hard?
No, not at all. It's just as hard. You can actually see it built up over the edge, as if it's been blowing in and forming like a snowdrift. And it doesn't look like the metal's hot or anything. If anything, you can see it's got patches of ice on it.
Okay, so the first thing that Faraday wants to do after he stops the snowmobile, he wants to start having a look around. Is there any sign of the satellite dish anywhere?
Roll a perception check.
I know we can't see all that far because it's sort of like blizzard conditions and the wind's getting up. Did that roll?
I've got nothing here. Oh, I've got it now.
Yeah.
You sort of like look around. There's nothing that you can see. There's no drag marks or anything like that. You would have thought it would have been obvious if it had been dragged through this. The satellite itself, the dish, would not fit through this hole. It would have to be cut.
Dismantled.
Yeah.
Okay. Faraday is going to get people's attention, and he's going to motion to head towards a hatch, but he's also going to motion to somebody else to sort of like one person to go point and the other person to sort of like keep an eye out round about.
So who's on point?
Tar will be on point.
Okay.
Flint will be keeping an eye out around and about, and he'll have his M16 out and
so
ready.
Is Flint going down second?
I thought we were talking about who was guarding for somebody to go down into the hatch.
Okay, so who's going point, i.e. they're going first?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Tar.
Yeah. Okay then. So
as Tar moves out, Faraday's going to fall in behind, but keeping far enough back from him that if he sets off a landmine or anything like that,
yeah. Okay.
I'm
That's
not
cool.
going to get hit.
And who will be going down next? So Tar's first, then Faraday,
Yeah, Matheson would go next.
and Flint to bring up the rear. Okay.
Yeah.
I will assume that you have your primary weapon out.
So Faraday reaches in, draws out a pistol, and
Okay, so Faraday, you
gets closer. He's going to turn on his headlight.
yeah. So you get down to the sort of like the circle, this unlocking valve. Can you roll for me a brawn without Amriel's strength, please?
What? Brawn roll right here.
Yeah, you sort of like shoulder your. Is it an M16 you're carrying?
Correct.
Yeah, you shoulder it and sort of like your gloves almost like stick to the cold metal, but with you, it doesn't come released straight away. It sort of like takes a bit of time, then all of a sudden you go chunk like that, and it automatically gives. And you sort of like continue, and the more it sort of like gives, the easier it becomes to roll it, and then you can lift the hatch up.
Before he does that, Faraday is going to move in closer, and he's going to say, "Watch out for the steam," before moving back to a safe distance.
Okay, so there seems to be a set of, the ladder carries on down. It seems to be some kind of metal interior, Tar. There seems to be a pale light in here. It's almost like a soft glow, vaguely red. You do feel the warm air suddenly escape up, and you can see down, and it seems to be one of those, like a grated walkway. So it's not solid, it's just sort of like a grate, and you can look down. There's nothing underneath the grate, it just seems to be a grate rather than a flat surface. You seem to be in some kind of, as you look down, you can see there's sort of like, some kind of tunnel or some kind of corridor. It seems to go left and right as you look down. Yes, Tar, what you're up to? Or Faraday, or anybody?
Are we sort of like both looking down into the hatch?
Yeah, people can see down into the hatch. That's not a problem.
And there's no more space for my cohorts to come down to the hatch area with me. I would have to go in the hatch or go back up for people to come down here.
Yeah, correct.
All right. Well, Tar is going to let his curiosity get the better of him after gesturing as best he can upwards that he's going to go down. Tar will jump into the hatch or climb down further.
Okay, and what's everybody else doing?
So once Tar goes down, Faraday's going to turn around to Matheson and do the same gestures, saying that he's going down. And as soon as that Tar's cleared up the ladder, he's going to head down.
Is Matheson and Flint following down as well?
Indeed.
Okay, so you go down, and Tar, you sort of like land first, and there's that sound of metal as you hit it. You don't hit it hard, but it almost like echoes round. You seem to be in a cylindrical tube, like a tunnel. It's quite big. You've been inside submarines, most of you have, and it's bigger than that. It's wider than that. The other thing, once you all get down, Flint, are you shutting the hatch or not?
Yes, he would shut the hatch.
Okay,
Fine.
so you sort of like close the hatch, and then as you get down, there's two things you notice straight away. It's only when you're down there that you notice that there's a list in the corridor. It seems as if everything's sort of like tilted about 20 or so degrees to one side, and it's as if it's not the walkway that's tilted. The whole corridor seems to be on an angle.
Towards the pressure ridge?
You'll have to roll an insight roll to see whether or not you can remember where it is. You can augment it with your navigation if you have it.
I got a. If I do it with my navigation, I've got a. Yeah, I've got a hard.
So I'm still waiting for influence came up for me.
Oh, sorry. Insight. Click the wrong one.
But you got the first sound right. Well done.
Yeah. It can be
yeah. You figure it's probably parallel to the pressure. So it's a bit like if the pressure wave was here, this is tilted like that.
Okay.
Does that make
I'm with you.
sense?
Yeah.
You also, that's the first thing you notice. The second thing that you notice is the heat down here. It's almost it's humid, and immediately that the hatch is closed, you immediately start to sweat in your cold weather gear. You really, all of you, because you're experiencing this sort of thing, instantly recognize that you need to take it off. Otherwise, what's going to happen is that you're just going to heat up so much that you will actually, your core temperature will increase so much that there is the possibility of going into anaphylactic shock because you're so hot. Also, any skills would get worse and worse and worse purely because of the heat. The other thing, and so you sort of like, does anybody want to keep it on?
No, I mean Faraday is going to take off the minimum that he.
Yeah, you're not walking around in bikinis or anything. It's just like your parkas and your over trousers, etc., and gloves and goggles and everything like that are taken off and sort of like stashed somewhere near the ladder, so you know.
Yeah.
You do notice that the corridor goes left and right, and it seems to curve round. So it's not straight. You see it curving round in both directions. Flint is typing.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I am typing. I was writing something to remind me to do something in a moment.
All right.
He forgot to click off Instagram.
I say we split into 2 parties.
We stick together. We don't know how many commie bastards there are down here.
Yeah, just to let you know, I said before that the lighting down here is well, it's sort of like a orangey color. You've all got military experience. It's almost as if emergency lighting is in play rather than the normal everyday lighting. So which way would you like to go?
So we've gone down, and it goes. What are we saying? North, south?
Probably left or right.
Okay, so Faraday will motion to the right.
Okay then. So you head round. You feel as if whatever this thing is, it doesn't.
Are there any markings on the?
So there's no markings on it at all, and none of you are familiar with a setup like this. These corridors are absolutely huge. I mean, initially, anybody with military experience might have thought it was a sub, but everything is too big, and you wouldn't get this heat in a sub at all. And it's after
my hand against the bulkhead just to see.
Yeah, so you sort of like put your hand against the bulkhead, and you can feel the condensation on it. Whatever's in here is keeping it to quite a high temperature, probably about 30 degrees. You feel yourself sweating instantly. And the other thing is, it's not a dry heat. It is a complete humid heat. So even as you're walking along slowly, you're scanning left and right, you can see the sweat marks appearing on the person in front or behind you, because there's nowhere for that sweat to actually evaporate to allow you to lose heat. You figure that the actual air here, it must be sort of like 90% humidity. It's almost like thick.
Faraday wants to motion everybody to stop, and once they've done, he wants to listen. Is there like any hum of an engine or?
Make a perception roll.
Hang on, because I've lost my mouse cursor. There it is. 71 standard.
Yeah, you can't hear a hum of an engine that you're familiar with, but there does seem to be a faint, constant noise in the background. It doesn't sound mechanical.
Matheson's a little bit worried now, and she wants to take out a Geiger counter, and she wants to just test for any radiation. And as she's doing this, she's saying, do you think it's a Russian nuclear sub that's maybe going critical? If it's boiling all the water off, maybe that's what's causing the...
There is traces of transuranic radiation in this place. It's not high enough to cause you any injury. It's probably roughly about the same amount that you would get in a nuclear power sub, maybe a little bit higher. Matheson advises that we're safe, but it's probably not a good idea to stay down here for extended amount of time.
Yeah.
So as you continue round Tar with the rest of them behind you, you went to the right, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sort of like carry on down, and then the corridor just seems to continually turn. And what you find on your right, as you've gone right, so you're walking around, you're scanning, you've got your weapons out in a ready position, ready to fire. So, you know, if you got initiative, that would be it. You don't have to ready a weapon, you're straight out. And anybody who's got combat experience are doing that strange walk when you put your feet perpendicular to yourself, and you're almost like in a slight crouch. And obviously your senses are peeled back to extreme trying to listen, and you come across what appears to be like a double door. It looks quite strange. It's got no handles or anything. It does seem to have some kind of panel on the side that has, it's quite big. It's about, if you can see my camera, it's about 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters wide, and about the same deep, maybe a little bit more. There seems to be some kind of lights on it, and there also seems to be some kind of pad.
How tall is the door? Would it be like a normal door?
No,
us?
it would be bigger.
Right. Is the door on our right currently as we're walking?
Yes.
Around? Is there anything written on the? When we get up to it, we'll stop.
Okay.
Is there anything written above it or on the?
No, there seems to
that we can see.
There seems to be no markings on the door at all. Very similar to the Russian research station.
The keypad. Looking at that, is there anything identifiable? Is it like a 10-digit kind of thing?
Hang on, just saying good. You the lights at the top don't seem to have any pattern or anything like that. There's a big pad. Flint, you sort of like see it. It looks very. You figure that there's Tar and Flint between you. You figure there's two things that can either happen here. It either needs electronic or computer roll to open it, or Tar, it needs the butt of your rifle.
Dyson can help you with that. Did you want to enable it?
Flint will look at it and go, I'll have a crack at this first before you start smashing things, Tar.
The skill Dyson can help you.
Just 1 second.
Did you want
Computer,
to enable it?
stop. It's because I said the C word. So she's saying, I cannot help you with that.
Sounds like someone needs to change the trigger word.
And it's a bit like Scotty and Star Trek. Computer.
So, so sorry, Flint. What?
So Flint is going to have a crack at trying to use his electronic skill to get this keypad to open the door.
Yeah, okay, go for it. Yes, nice. You sort of like managed to take the outer layer covering off it, and it seems to work very similar to other electronic locks you've seen, and you just sort of manage to almost like hot wire two wires together, and the door sort of goes and pulls back. It seems to stutter a bit, so you see it goes like that, as if it's trying to gain power from somewhere. And as soon as you see inside, what you see is it's about 20 meters long room, and it's just sort of like about 20 meters wide and 20 meters deep. And you can see fine in here. There's still that soft glow, but what it appears to be absolutely filled with cylindrical containers, and in each of the containers, sort of like attached to it with tubes and floating in what seems to be some kind of liquid. Tar, you see a whole load of the reptilian creature that you saw before. They all seem to be just floating in this liquid. There does seem to be some kind of control desk or panel in the middle of the room. There, you instantly notice that these pods are 3 or 4 deep, and they are spread right the way around the edge of the walls.
Faraday will say, "What the fuck is this place? Is it some type of experiment?"
It must be. But it sounds like one of those things that if we say what we see, we're going to be.
Why are they wearing these stupid?
Yeah, just to let you know, remember you're still in the corridor at the present moment in time.
Okay, looking down. He'll motion inside the door, but before he goes in, he'll say to Flint, "If you close this door, are you going to be able to get it open again?"
I'll have a look at the lock inside.
Yeah, there's a similar thing on the inside, and now that you've made your critical roll, you can open it.
We're going to file in, and we're going to close the. We're going to close the door.
Okay, then. So you now see in all of these tubes, Faraday, Matheson, and Flint. You haven't seen this before. They seem to be large reptilian bipeds. They seem to be bipedal. They seem to have 4 limbs, but seem to be able to walk upright. You notice that there's various tubes, like plastic tubes, coming out of the tubes and round to the other places. All the creatures are slowly just floating. Their eyes initially look to be open, but as you get close to them, you notice that there seems to be like a third lid closed over, so the eyes are very opaque, but so the outer lids are not shut at all. They're just floating around. Matheson.
Faraday's going to turn to Matheson and he's going to say, "What the fuck are we looking at here?"
Matheson, you can roll one of your science rolls.
Certainly.
Yeah, you sort of like have a look at them, and you go over and you sort of like check one out, and it seems to have some kind of monitor by the side that is just going on and off like a light, and you think that these are some kind of status chambers. It looks like they're just keeping people or these reptiles in some kind of suspended animation, and
it's like in a coma.
Yeah, all the wires seem to end up going to this central panel, this central control pod that I mentioned earlier.
Matheson will look at Tar and say, "Tar, are these the things you saw?"
Yeah, I wasn't lying.
I apologize, my friend. This is some mighty strange things here.
Not sure if they're friendly or not. The ones that I saw didn't seem to want to go after me once I stopped moving. The polar bear. I thought I was more enticing than they did.
Fresh meat. I've never seen anything like this. Maybe this is where that strange slime came from, because that I've never seen before, and there's no records of anything like these.
Could they be genetically modified humans? Maybe a new breed of Russian killing machine.
But look what they're floating.
Chinese.
Or a super soldier of some kind.
But look what they're floating. We've got no technology like this.
Is somebody playing music?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Many
stop.
back's got the TV on in the background.
Oh right, sorry. I thought I was playing music from somewhere that I couldn't see. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Looks like gook to me. Maybe it's a gooking gook.
Sorry, Lisa's got a habit of going to bed and leaving the TV on.
Oh,
I know.
Wasn't even watching.
Before you go to bed at night.
Oh, no wonder your electricity bill's so high.
Yeah, I know.
But also, just to point out, Medivac's been in that room as well since she's gone to bed and hasn't bothered to turn the TV on.
Well, do you know what? The remote control's inside the room.
You
I know.
lazy
I know.
panda.
Well, no, I was role playing.
okay.
And
So yeah,
approximately, how many would you say there were? 20, 40, 100?
well, they're probably about 1 meter in diameter.
And it's 20 by 20.
Yeah, and they're stacked about 3 deep.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Are they all the same size, as in the things in it, or are they all having sort of like walking down one of the rows?
I'll make a perception check.
Are they all sort of like of the same height and?
Nice.
Oh.
There's minor differences to them. So some of them have a bit of pale colouring in places. Some of the limbs are some of them have different crests on their heads and things like that. There seems to be a range of subtle differences, and the only reason you saw that is because of your critical roll. If it wasn't,
But they're all like 2 meters tall.
yeah, they look.
Build quality.
They're a bit like sorry, I'm just trying to find my picture.
I love pictures.
Say 1,000 words.
Do we get a picture?
Yeah, I can't. Hang on, let me just open it up for you, and then
Harry Harrison, East of Eden.
I've only got a picture of their heads, but
All right.
Oh, that's good enough.
Honestly, I'd be able to picture it so much better with a picture.
Just something about Joe's recognition there.
right, here we are.
It's that guy from Dinosaurs, isn't it? Not the mama.
Are you doing it as a handout, or are you doing it as a? Are you going to bring it up onto the screen?
I'm going to do it as a handout. I'll drag it in, and then you might be able to see it as soon as it comes on the screen. I'm just dragging it in now. So this is what the head looks like.
Oh,
Can you see it?
yeah. Bigger than I thought and more scalier. I actually thought, I thought it was more insect looking.
No, it's
That's what
definitely
in my head as well.
it's definitely
round.
reptilian.
Has it got teeth like that?
Yeah.
It's almost dinosaurish.
Should I get demolition set up to cave this experiment in?
I think it. I don't know. I mean, there's some crazy people out there who had this theory that maybe there's some kind of subterranean cave in the middle of the earth where reptiles grew to sentient things while out of the side of humans, and while we progressed and evolved, so did they. Do you think that could be these? Because that would be the strangest thing I've ever heard of, and those kooks would have a field day with this.
What I'm more worried about are there any empty coffins, tubes, whatever you want to call them?
Split up and check a row each. Let's see whether or not there's any missing.
Okay, so that's going to be quite a lengthy task. I saw like 10 minutes. I just want to warn you before you do it, just so you know.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Okay, so you sort of like split up and sort of like search round all of these. It takes about 10-15 minutes to do it, and you soon get back together and you report that all of them are full. There was
no empty.
There's no empty ones at all.
So we know there's at least two on this submarine somewhere.
You could probably bank on a few more. Even on a skeleton crew, this thing's going to need a few people to manage.
Okay, let's move out.
Can I just point out the obvious here? If this is some kind of submarine, it's the biggest submarine I've ever seen, because this room is 20 meters by 20 meters. There's a corridor out there that's going around in a circle.
It's closer to one of our aircraft carriers, really, isn't it, in size? I'm not aware of any submarine that's that big.
Exactly. It's a 20-meter room in a submarine. It's unheard of.
Who knows what they're building nowadays? It's obviously been top secret. If you're saying it's not a submarine, what else is it going to be?
Well, all I'm saying is no wonder they want to destroy it if it's top secret.
I can't imagine it being an aircraft carrier. There's a bloody hatch on the top of it. It's obviously meant to go underwater.
Right, Faraday, as you said, let's go then. Is it one of sudden demolitions here, did you say, or not?
Unless Flint maybe can lock these things in here so they can't emerge on their own.
I can have a go, but I'd rather be on the outside on the way out when I do that. As far as we know, this is the only route back to the ladder and outside.
It doesn't look like they're going anywhere. Let's carry on.
Sorry, just to reiterate, this is a side room, isn't it, off the corridor?
Yeah,
I thought so. Right, yeah, I thought so, yeah.
So are you keep going round on the right-hand side of the corridor? Yeah. Okay, then. So you carry on going, and it's pretty soon as you get further down this corridor, you do notice that it's still got that list on it, and it's still curving round, and as you go further and further round, you suddenly start to hear noises. There tends to be it sounds as if there's sort of like some kind of working going on ahead, some kind of bashing, and you can hear the sizzle of welding equipment and hammering and things like that. And as you progress around, you notice suddenly that as you sort of like turn around the corner, on the left there's a gap in the wall. There's no door there at all. It's just a massive gap, and anybody can see that as you go into the gap, it seems to go on some kind of balcony, and then there's left going down the sort of like either side is sets of stairs, sort of like grill based stairs. So there's an entrance that has sort of like a balcony with a railing, and then two sets of stairs going down either side. You could, just from staying in the corridor, not actually going in there, you can see the flickering lights of torches, i.e. welding torches, and the hammer. And you can also catch every now and again, and sort of like a white beam of light sort of like scans round and sort of like goes out to the doorway, and then sort of like goes off in another direction.
Faraday wants to motion a bridge to stop, and he's going to put his gun away, and then he almost wants to belly crawl onto the top walkway bit, so that he can get up to the railings and maybe look down.
Okay.
He's going to be on his stomach. He's sort of like crawling, so as not to bring attention to himself by silhouetting himself up at the top. But he wants to crawl up to the edge, and he wants to look over and see what he can see.
Okay, then. So the first thing that you can see, there's quite a prominent object that runs from top and to bottom of this room. From where you are, it's about 20 foot down to the base, and there's this huge cylindrical object that sort of like runs the top and bottom of the ship. If you imagine that, it's almost like you're stood on a bit of the donut that goes round the edge. Mm-hmm. And then this massive thing is in the middle, and you saw the light whizzing round. it seems to be almost like floating, what Chugga would recognise as drones. But Faraday in 1980, we didn't have any such thing. It seems to be hovering little robots that are hovering around with little lights on. And you see that each one of them is working with one of these huge reptilian creatures. And they seem to be attaching things and welding things onto this middle. They seems to be very active. Just roll a perception roll for me.
36.
Yeah, for you needed a formidable, which means you've got it. As you look over, you suddenly notice that there's bits of the research station here. You can sort of like see a bit of the satellite dish and some of the wires and various components of the generator, that you put together, and they seem to be adding them to this big circular structure. And the circular structure, just so you know, has got sort of like lights that go. They don't make that noise, but they just go up every now and again. So
from Faraday's knowledge, could it be some type of missile launch tube?
Roll me a skill.
Could I roll law Cold War?
Okay then, roll law Cold War just so you get a chance of. It doesn't look like a missile. It's far. If it is a missile, it's
a big missile.
It's a huge missile, but it hasn't got a cone on top. It hasn't got fins down the side. It just seems to be. If the best way,
big enough to destroy all those bases that was on the map if it went off.
Well,
if it was a missile and they did fire it.
Well, if it is a missile, then
could it split into little missiles and each of them bases and explode them?
If it was a missile, it's probably its power would be tremendous because you've never seen. I mean, it actually goes 20 foot down. And then up this way. If anyway, the best way you can describe it is that it's as if this outer circle is like the size of an edge of an apple, and this is its core. Does that make sense? So it's sort of like, and it seems to be, it's got lights on that keep going.
Does it look like a crazy British? I'll do the accent. Does it look like that crazy British?
Faraday's still out there.
Oh, that's why I can't see.
Yeah. So
how many funny reptiles things are they?
There's 4.
Okay. Looking around, I know you said we've seen parts of the satellite dish and the generator and stuff like that. Is there anything like the foot lockers that might have been, sort of like
those are harder to tell because they're just generic metal, but they could well be here.
Right. Does it look like there's any looking sort of like across from where we are? Is there any other exits that he can see? Down at the bottom or opposite on the opposite?
Underneath you're not too sure.
Sure, yeah.
There seems to be an exit or an entrance exactly like yours on the opposite side.
Okay. So he's going to very carefully sort of like fall backwards the way they came.
Yeah.
And once he gets back to the rest in hushed whisper, he's going to fill them in what he's just seen. He's going to say, whatever it is, they seem to be trying to maybe repair it from things that they got from the drift station.
Think we should interrupt the process?
I'm assuming at this point that you're all talking in hushed tones.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did say that.
Yeah.
Think we should interrupt the process?
I say we carry on. We need to find out what this place is. Surely that they must have some, maybe a computer or I don't know, some maintenance logs or something, just to let us know where it's heading. Does our corridor carry on?
Yes.
Faraday's going to motion out to carry on.
Okay. Flint is gonna carry on being Taylor and Charlie, but he's going to be every so often he's going to be turning around to check behind us because he now knows that there are potential foes behind us all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Go past this place.
So the next door you come across is one on the right. So it's on the same outside ring of the door as the stasis tubes were at. You don't think you think you probably came in at the south end of a circle. And so halfway in the sort of like the southwestern bit, there was that stasis door. And then in the middle, at dead on east, there's an entrance that you've just looked down to see.
That was on the left-hand side.
Yes. And now you're sort of like in the north.
We're on the second.
Yes.
Second half of it.
Yeah. So now you're in the northeast sector, and there's another door on the outside. Flint will need to roll.
Does it look the same as identical to the other door that we came across?
Yeah, they all look identical. There's no difference between any doors that you come across.
Okay. So Flint will wait to see if he's been, if Faraday's giving the signal to open the door. As soon as he does, he's going to fiddle with the panel to try and get the door open.
Yeah, we want it open.
Okay, so Flint successfully does the same with the door. The door slides open. It's a little bit smaller room than before. And you notice that it seems to be some kind of... It looks very scientific and medical and things like that. You can notice there's something on the table. There seems to be like a control panel in the middle, and there's something on the table, and there seems to be like various scientific instruments around, lots of wires. Yeah, that's all you can see from the doorway.
We're going to motion for everybody to go inside, and we're going to do the same again. We're going to close the door from the inside.
Yeah, so you shut the door from the inside and sort of like have a good look around the room, and you suddenly notice that what's actually in the middle of the table, propped up with some kind of transparent perspex or something like that, and with a whole load of wires running from it, is a human head. It's totally decapitated from a body. There's no body anywhere in the room that you can see. It just seems to be a head, and it has a whole load of wires going up. Matheson, roll a biology roll for me.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, you notice that although things like the trachea and the esophagus has been removed, it still has its vocal cords intact, and it's sort of like intact, and it's just sort of like propped up. And as you look at it, all of a sudden, his eyes pop open. Willpower checks, please.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm not playing Hazard, am I?
Let me...
Oh, Faraday throws up.
Run, man!
Right.
It's a point of luck.
Yeah.
Can,
Can't.
Put the 0-1.
can you roll for me, please, a 1d20 Faraday?
One. Oh no, because I've still got like 2,000 of them because I did the.
Tar's just a complete cool customer with that 8, isn't he?
I got a 12.
12. Okay then. As you all see this and the eyelids flicker open, you or did anybody else fail? Is this a standard? Oh, Tar, you're just like indestructible. You're just.
I was just like, I've probably done that to people before.
You sort of like see it, Faraday, and you suddenly it reminds you of something that you saw when one of your colleagues got decapitated by an incendiary device or bomb, and this brings back all that almost like post-traumatic stress, and also seeing the awful thing that this head is actually alive. And what makes it worse that is when it sort of like gasps out through it, just its vocal cords. It goes, "Help me!" 1d6, please. Yeah, and all Tar and Matheson and Flint, you all sort of like swallow down the bile that's going up into your throat as you see this horrific sight. Faraday, it's literally too much for you, and your brain does the only thing it can do when it's suddenly forced to engage with previous experiences. Your brain refuses to operate and switches off, and you collapse. You faint. On the floor.
Can I ask one question, just about the? I know I'll leave it because I'm on the. I'll message you it.
Okay.
Matheson, seeing that Faraday's fallen to the floor, looks at the head and then quickly gets down to him to check to make sure he's okay and there's nothing untoward, and it's just he's not used to this kind of thing. So she'll do a full first aid check. I'm assuming she will have smelling salts or something in her first aid kit.
Are you trying to bring him round?
I'm trying to bring him round, yes.
Okay then. So what's Flint and Tar doing?
Flint, go first.
Flint is.
Everything goes to pot because the leader's on the floor.
He's going to have a close look at his head, as in he's going to wave his hand in front of his eyes and see if it's tracking his hand movement.
Are you going closer to the head, or are you staying at a distance?
How far away am I at the moment is the question.
Message on Discord.
Okay, then how far do you want to be?
A meter? A couple of meters? I don't know the size of the. I can't remember the size of the room.
Stop micromanaging it. What are you going to do?
He's gonna move closer, and he's gonna like wave his right hand, so no, his left hand, because he's got the gun under his shoulder, like his rifle out. So he's gonna see if this thing is actually alive, or is he?
So how far are you going to be from it? How far is your hand going to be from it?
It's all right. I can do that.
It's going to be about a meter, and it's going to be at the table side, table side. The hand's going to be a few feet above it.
To me, when we're sort of like doing this sort of adventure, when there's no map, to me it's either you're close to it or you're far away from it. That's sort of like.
So he's standing next to the lab table that this head's on. Basically.
Okay then. So you're sort of like inspecting it. Yeah. And Tar, what are you doing?
Tar doesn't want to get close to that. He has his gun out and he's prepared to shoot at anything that is a threat, including if the head lunges. So he's probably got his gun aimed at the head.
Okay then. So Matheson, I need a first aid or a medical roll from you. Yep. Flint, as you wave your hands in front of this head. The eyes flicker. You know, if you go like that, they flicker. As far as you are concerned, this head is alive. It seems to have voices. It seems to have a strong Russian accent, and it sort of like says over and over again, "Help me." Tar, can you make a perception check for me, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as everybody is doing this, Tar, you suddenly hear the door zip open, and you sort of like bring round your weapon as you see one of these large reptilian creatures, bipedal, coming in. It seems to be carrying some kind of instrument. You're not too sure. It could be, let me just check to make sure I give you the right description.
Banjo.
No,
I was going to say guitar.
it seems to be something that is attached to one of its claws. You can see it's got a claw, but there seems to be some kind of metal attached to it. And we will go into, let me just call this up. Let's and we will go into some combat, please. Let's roll some initiatives.
I sent you another message on.
Cool,
Discord.
thank you.
I'm just. I'm not rolling. Is that okay?
If you roll, because we'll just miss you out until you
Okay.
come around.
Oh, he pulls it out the bag with a perfect 21.
I'm just going to call it reptile. Add mine to that as well. And let's do some Tar, what's your initiative bonus?
My initiative bonus is a 15.
Right, mine's a 14, so you will go before me. Okay, so Faraday, you're out of it. You can't do anything. And Flint, you sort
I'm aware of this because I've got my back to the door, haven't I? I'm assuming.
He doesn't want to act first.
No. I'm asking.
Okay, then. So yeah, roll a perception roll for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't hear it. You're actually surprised.
Yeah.
Which means you won't be able to take any offensive actions. You can only defend. Tar, you're up on 17.
If I have my gun pointed at it, I'm gonna spray a couple bullets at this bad boy.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Okay, here's my roll. 24.
24. So remember, when you're fighting with guns, you can use the evade skill to try to dive out the way, as a parry. So I just need to roll my D100. Yeah, he fails his dice, his evade roll. So you will have I need special hit location damage.
The special that I would like to do is drop foe.
Okay, cool.
And here is my D20. He has a 4. Or got a 4.
That's in his right leg. Seems to be appropriate when you're dropping foe.
And here's my damage.
Do some damage first. Nice shot.
Yeah, that's something.
Leg. So that's, okay, so this is. I think I roll endurance. Do I?
Correct.
It's opposed against endurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Against the original attacker's hit roll.
I get 50. My endurance is 90. So, and what was your?
24. You definitely win this round. I think.
Yeah. So, but I hang on because I just need to roll my because I'm now into a serious wound in my major wound in my leg. Sorry, so I need to roll it. 92. He fails. So that leg caves out from underneath him, and so it's an M16 carbine, is it not?
Correct.
Yeah, so there's sort of like a gunshot out from that sort of like resounds around the metal ship, and the beast goes the reptilian sort of like drops down onto the floor one-legged. He sort of like tries to start to almost like crawl towards you, Tar, on his action. He's sort of like dragging, propping himself up on an arm, and you can see that this hand, this metal contraption on it, seems to have what seems to be glowing ends to it, rather like sort of like what do you call welding things, but it's very blue and purple, and it's using its action to crawl to you. Matheson, you're on 16. What would you like to do?
Matheson is going to, after hearing the gunshot, she's going to use a free action to say, Flint, close that door if you can. And then she's going to continue to give first aid to Faraday.
Okay, then.
Get him back into action.
Yeah, so Flint, you're on defensive action, so we'll now go straight up back to the top of combat turn 2. Faraday, you're still out of it. Tar, you are, however, still around.
And I would like for this alien creature to eat more lead.
Just make sure you keep an eye on your bullets.
I have been. I'm
Yeah.
at 21 out of 30.
I meant,
on
yeah,
this,
to everyone, because remember you won't have unlimited. Like a bit like when we play Mythras, you can hit as many times as you want with a sword, you know. So just remember. Go for it. So this is a second action point.
Pow, pow. 27.
And this beast will try to roll away. He's at hard now on his evade roll. He fails his evade roll, so you've got one special hit location damage.
I'm gonna go with drop foe because I think that's Tar's primary goal with a lot of these conflicts.
Yeah.
Even if I know it's not intelligent. So that's my special. Here's my D20. It's a 12. Right, it's 12.
So that's in his, but right in his chest. This is his opposed endurance roll. So his endurance is 90. So he gets 24, but you'll win it with a 27. I think you got.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then so he is now dropped. He's now a dropped foe, so he can't. He's unable to continue to fight. Now, I need some damage from you, though.
Okay, I was curious if you're going to want the damage at some point. There we go. Here's damage. 7.
7. Okay, that actually doesn't. It's some of it seems to go through. It's sort of like it's thick skin, but it sort of like takes it down. It doesn't do as much as your last one. But it sort of like whacks into him, and he sort of like knocks it back, and then
took a minor wound though, didn't he?
Say again, sorry.
Did he take a minor because he needs to put the drop foe to work?
That's he took points, but just a minor. Okay. So he is the creature is down, and Matheson, you still work on Faraday, and just to let you know, Tar, in the next 6 seconds. Well, within this first 6 seconds, you sort of like fired off 2 shots, and then as it's down on the floor, you just fire off a third one, and you just sort of like think the best place to shoot this is probably between the eyes or something. And with it not being able to fight, you just sort of like, do you want to finish it off or leave it?
No, I want to do exactly as you were saying.
Yeah.
And one more shot between the eyes.
So you sort of like look up, and as the creature sort of like sees what you're about to do, you notice that its eyes get slightly wider, and then you just fire off the last shot, probably at point blank range, and it goes straight into its head, and it stops. Flint, are you going to now go and try to close the door?
Yes, for the moment. Yes,
No.
yes, he is for the moment.
Yes. Okay. Then
Faraday's down.
Okay. Roll your computer skill.
Computer. Yep.
Yeah. You managed to shut it. Do you wish to lock it or not?
Not lock it at the moment. He just wants to shut it.
Okay. Then. So the doors shut, and Tara, you probably. How many more bullets have you got left?
In this clip, I have 19 out of 30.
Oh, plenty then. And is the plan now to wait until Faraday comes round, or do you wish to do something before he comes round?
Well, while I'm working on him, can I move him round so we're not in view of the door?
You can, yeah, by all means. Roll a brawn roll for me.
Oh, I should have got something else to do, shouldn't I? Here we go.
Yeah, you sort of like get your arms underneath his armpits and sort of like
chunky.
Yeah, you sort of like try to drag him, and you sort of like lean back, and as you lean back, it just sort of like Faraday takes all the force, and he doesn't move at all.
I'll just continue trying to get him awake.
Okay then. So Tar and Flint, is there anything that you guys would like to do while Matheson is still trying to? He looks like he's fainted. He hasn't actually fainted. There's something else, and that's why it's taken you a period of time to bring him round.
He was
Yes.
for a long time. Medicvacs had to go away.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Yes, Tar, what would you like to do?
Having already made a bit of noise, Tar is going to go over and attempt to destroy this head display. If that means taking out his combat knife and cutting it down or whatnot, he's got his war mindset on right now, so he's just solving problems. He doesn't want anybody to wake up to see that, so he's going to trash it, even if that means kicking it over or stabbing it.
Yeah. Okay.
down.
Just roll your combat knife skill.
Medicvacs back.
Flint, is there anything that you would like?
Flint at the moment is going to take cover, and he's going to be guarding the door. So he's got his M16 leveled at the door, and he's going to be holding an action.
Okay, so as you sort of like Flint, you move away and go and stand at the door. Tar, you sort of like quite menacingly sort of like sling your rifle and draw your combat knife and start moving towards this head. And the head sort of like screams out in a Russian accent, which I can't do, but just imagine it. No, don't. She's still here screaming. And you go like that, and you sort of like slice through the wires, and the head just screams as it sort of like is disconnected, as if you're sort of like slicing through nerve fibers that is sort of like keeping it alive. And you know, it's a combat knife, so you keep having to put it in and sort of like flip it, and the head just sort of like screams, not in an electronic voice, in its real voice, you know, as if it was completely and utterly alive. And it seems to be almost like trying to give you a warning when it realizes that his time is up and says, it keeps going on, I can hear her screaming as you slice through the last cable, and the head just drops to the side, eyes open, just sort of like there seems to be no rush of blood or anything like that. It seems to be kept alive by some kind of weird science. Flint, perception roll for me, please.
Mr. Pickles has done a Dominic and killed one of the major plot lines.
I feel bad now.
Right, so just as this is happening, and Flint, you're right near the door, and you can hear this screaming head, and Matheson, you're still dealing with Faraday, and Flint, you're by the door keeping an ear out, and over the noise of the screaming head, you suddenly hear the sound of heavy running feet down the grated corridor outside. They're definitely running to this door.
Okay.
And we will leave it there at that point, because it's 21:58. And and that seems to be so. So we
didn't answer the question in Discord.
Oh, sorry.
Another question.
Is this why you're unconscious?
Just before I went unconscious.
Telepathy is a real thing.
Well, it must be if you're running around with alien lizard things.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay then. So when we start off next Thursday, if everyone's around, Faraday, you will be unconscious. Still. Matheson, you are dealing with him, trying to get his brain working again. Tar, you've just turned around with your knife still in hand, and you're finishing off the head. You've done that. And Flint, you will have heard these footsteps. So the person who will go first next week will be you, Flint, because you ended up with that information. And we will leave it there. Things are getting interesting now. Hopefully you've managed to piece together what is actually happening. If you haven't, I was talking to the chat, by the way, not you guys. But I bet you have now already.
Yeah.
So chat, what do you think about Mr. Pickles going all stabby?
I'm the worst, right?
Yeah. Mr. Pickles has two sort of characters. It's either the I'm going to be really nice and heal everybody, or I'm going to just butcher everything. Because I always remember your barbarian when we played D&D 5th edition. It's all like, I'll have 20 hits and do 600 points of damage. Dead. There's a beholder. Dead. There's a red dragon. Dead.
Magic sword.
I'm a lover and a fighter.
Yeah. That's yeah.
You just happen to be two different people when you're doing that.
And I think it's really interesting that, because remember, these characters were randomly assigned as well, so that's interesting as well. Darth says, cheers for the stream. Yeah, so thank you very much for coming
Cheers
on
for
watching.
being in the chat, Darth.
Hopefully you'll be back next week, when we're hopefully all back as well, and we can see what happens. Next week will probably be the finishing episode. Hopefully they'll be able to sort everything out next week, and then that will be it.
Unless we get the door locked.
The white.
An hour late.
And
Yeah.
Say again, sorry.
Is it all right if I come an hour late? I'm unconscious.
Well, it depends whether or not you actually come conscious before the main event.
Can I just say, you missed the perfect opportunity to say, get out of my mind!
I was too busy typing in Discord to get the answer to the questions that I was.
And don't forget, you get a fumble. Well,
yeah. Oh yes, for next time.
For next time, yeah.
as long as we're not the main course.
Okay, and as Lawrence Whitaker said when he found out, it can only end badly. That's the only option for this game. If you've enjoyed tonight's White Death, then please do go along to my YouTube channel and you can watch the other episodes. We will be back on Saturday, fingers crossed, when we will see how the same group playing in a fantasy setting. I think have just killed the guild mistress that you were meant to be guarding.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah, it was Hasbro.
It was not Hasbro.
Hasbro let the poison be thrown down the chimney by
I
falling off the
wasn't
roof.
playing Balance the Guild Mistress.
He didn't use the trip opponent.
No,
He
had it used against him.
his standard impale.
it's true.
So we will see what goes on there. So do come along at 7 o'clock on Saturday. We'll be back this time, same time next week, hopefully, to finish off the White Death scenario. And I will be streaming. So if you've enjoyed tonight's stream or want to see me play Elder Scrolls Online, Overwatch, and other similar games, then do press that follow button, and we will see you all later. Until next time, it's good night from me, and it's good night from them. Good
night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Only Mr. Pickles doesn't want to say goodbye. He's just we will catch you all later.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We will see you all later. Thanks for coming along. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.